In a world constantly in motion, where skies tell stories untold. One channel has the eyes to see beyond the visible. Welcome to Werx. Join us as we track and analyze the movements that shape our reality. From geopolitical shifts to the silent ops that never make the news. Dive deep into this unique perspective where we decode the signals above and reveal the stories they hide. Be part of a community that values truth and transparency, where every flight tells a story. Subscribe and join the mission. Stay aware, stay prepared, and stay vigilant with Werx. All right, hey, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Opsmec here. It's going to be your Sitrep. It's October 3rd, 2024, and we are down to the wire here, very close to the election piece, and I would imagine it's going to just get crazier by the day. So today we're going to talk a little bit about, you may remember Uranium One. Well, I've just put a little spin on it. It's going to call it Lithium One. And even though I know Uranium One was named after a company and a big scandal that nobody went to jail over, we basically were pillaged here in the United States by our elected officials. We'll look at that chart because it's a pay-to-play like nobody's business. But this lithium deal, this isn't about North Carolina. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about and chatter about that, but this isn't about that. This is about Ukraine, and you need to pay attention to it because this is why all of our money is going over there. Once you realize that you're being scammed again, well, we already knew that, but you'll see what's behind it. I believe what is behind it. Okay, so let's break from that for a second, and then we're going to also talk about the migrants. We're going to talk about the fact that FEMA is running out of money. You just can't make this stuff up. It's absolutely insane. And when I show you why they're running out of money, you're going to be infuriated. No two ways about it. So, okay, let's do this. We're going to kick it off in Skyglass. I'm going to bounce us over there. If you would, hit that like, subscribe, bell for notification. It helps regardless of what platform you're on. It always helps the channel. So we thank you for that. Now, let's get over to the mini. And we're going to look at what's up military-wise in the sky, currently sitting at 369. So just under 370. I've stripped out the trainers. I have a couple trainers in here that I think, we'll filter that out after we get done. Still a high number, but remember, it's not the quantity, it's actually the what, right? That we have to all be, watching. So let's do this. Let's just kind of talk about what we've got on the screen here. Now, I'm going to show you, these are the EC-45s. This in the Panhandle, probably a lot, most, if not all of that is going to be training. But keep in mind, too, that this is an area that just got impacted. So it could be some of that. And then these up here in North Carolina, up in the Appalachian area, that is going to be rescue efforts, search and rescue. We'll add to that the H-60s. And you can see, again, around that area, very heavily populated. And then, of course, we just add to that layer of H-47s. These are the blues that you see. Those are going to be your Chinooks, all right? So that's the banana copter. Again, hot and heavy across the area that has been impacted. So we're going to take those back. I'll leave these go red. And then let's do this. Let's strip out. I want to see how many air refuelers are up. So 32 KC-135s and 14 B-767-200s. Let me back this just a little. And you can see pretty active across the United States. Again, the left coast is just kind of getting fired up, but everything else here is, it's a good indicator of fighter activity. All right, now let's back those out. And then last little thing here, I just want to show you, it's Air Force One flying as NA because, they don't want to show, they don't love the country. They don't want to show with the pride of Air Force One. All right, so they just go NA. Yeah, not applicable. All right, that's how much they hate the country. But you can see this is flashbang actually headed down. We'll look at a schedule here in just a minute as we talk about their dismal response. in further detail. This is going to be a little bit crazy. So let me hide these. Okay, so let's do this. We'll jump into the watch list. And again, these rings are visibility rings. This is intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. It's either a balloon or E3 Sentry or R135. But you can see this is border protection, if that is such a thing. And then just the rings. You just notice the areas that they have covered up across the United States. About half the U.S. is really under some type of surveillance or reconnaissance. And then you can see this one here, a little E6 Sentry that's kind of over the affected area or close to it. You know, with the ring it would be. There's your Air Force One. Little Spec Ops guys. All right, let's get over to Europe. And again, it's just more of the same. You got R135 up to the north. Go down a little further south. Those blues that you see, the blue aircraft flying, those are going to be Russians. Then there's some balloons there over Germany and France, most of Europe. A lot of low altitude drones by Turkey. And then this one, that's a Turkish AWACS, but it's the new E737. Very sophisticated aircraft, but look to be looking down into Syria from there. So, all right, let's bounce on over to intelligence gathering. Again, very strange flight patterns over the U.S. from an intel bird. Typically, they look like a shoelace flight, all right? It's not seeing that over the U.S. from the intelligence community as much as we see it over in Europe. I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. Very strange, though, for them to just kind of map the perimeter of the United States. Now, this is what a typical intelligence flight looks like, right? It's getting a lot of back and forth. Again, shoestring appearance. Now, look at this one. I find very interesting. You notice that they are flying over Israel, looking at everything that just happened, assessing the damage probably, if I had to guess. But notice it goes back up there to Prague in Chechnya. Don't understand that one, right? Very, very strange. So, all right, let's get into the drones. And you'll notice very active over the left coast, southern left coast. You see a little transition there to the center of the U.S. And then notice the one up there to the northern border. We'll talk a little bit about northern border here in just a minute. And then this one kind of baked in over Washington, D.C. in that general area. Probably looking very closely at the Chesapeake and any ships that are entering that area. All right. As well as all kinds of other things. SIG Intel. All right. And then again, here, another drone you can see coming out of Malta, headed over Israel. You can see some low altitude stuff over the water there in the Mediterranean. But then this one that gets in over Israel. Now, that just so happened to fall just after our show last time. And so as that attack was taking place, now we were in our live Q&A with our audience there over on Patreon. So we were able to discuss it, but everybody else just got what my regular feed was, talking about Israel going deep into Lebanon. So again, this is a J-Star, right? Mapping a battlefield. You see it over Israel. Now this one, there's been a lot of talk and chatter about what it was doing out here over the southern Pacific side near Baja. I will tell you, I don't think this is a J-Star. I think this is a company called Omega, and it's a third-party air refueler, and I think that's what they were doing out here. Those look to be air refueling patterns. J-Stars really aren't, their strong suit isn't water. So I don't think that was actually what we were looking at. I think it was an air refueler doing some stuff over that danger box over the region, and we'll look at that here in a minute. And this is SIG Intelligence, right? So this is going to be R135. And you can see looking very closely at the southern border out up over the kind of the Midwest, Northwest region. And then we get out over this side and you can see very close to Constanta, the Black Sea, in and out of Crete. Okay, now let's talk AWACS. Again, we just saw the Turkish version of their AWACS, which is the new and improved one. I'm sure the U.S. will be going to that here soon enough. But just notice a little figure 8 there over Del Rio, out over the Gulf of Mexico. Again, this is advanced warning. So this is looking for nukes. It's looking at ship traffic. It's looking at a lot of different variables. And then, of course, that little man in the middle, another capability, right? Same thing here over France, over kind of northern Germany. And then you can see a little bit of work there over Romania, right up to Constanta, and then down over the Mediterranean. Again, man in the middle. So probably looking at ship traffic, if I had to guess, over the Med. Trying to control what's going in and out of that region. Okay, let's get into some of the news, and then we'll be hitting some touch points in terms of what's going on out there, what's moving, etc. All right, so we jump over here to roll call, and I just want to point out that the amount of states that Flashbang has visited this year, it says 4. It gives me 4%, so maybe 4% of the states in the U.S. as the president, and we're rolling into October. All right, countries 1%. So he hasn't really done too much, has he? He didn't really do much when he was in, other than damage our country. But looks like he's headed down to the Panhandle. In fact, well, let's pull over ForeFlight just for a minute. I'll show you where those lock in. He's going to be in this general area. This is one that was affected by the hurricane. And then, of course, Bob Marley is headed down here into Houston. Those are smaller VIP TFR circles. It looks like that is the case. And then, of course, this area here, these are mill ops going on over the affected area. Now, those air refueling, that's out here. And that's because this is a danger box. So they are very, very concerned, as always, about the ship traffic running past our left coast. All right, let me get back over here to this. And let's take a look at this. This is staggering, and keep in mind that it has nothing to do with the southern border. This is just straight up Canada, the Canadian border. It says that that Border Patrol sector records more apprehensions this year than the last 17 years combined. So yes, if you feel like we're being invaded, yeah, it'd be an accurate statement. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. All right. All right, look at this. This is disgusting. And here's why it is disgusting. Because if you were to just kind of crunch the numbers on how much money we have given other countries, for this to happen it's unacceptable. These people need to be fired. Straight up. Look at this. It says that Daddy Warbucks here, that's him if you don't know who that is, it says that FEMA doesn't have enough funding to last through hurricane season. So if anything else happens here in the United States outside of a hurricane, even hurricanes, fires, earthquakes, flooding, whatever it may be, FEMA ain't going to be there for you. That's basically what he's saying. Now, check this out. This is where it gets kind of crazy. Look at the amount of money the United States has given out in the last year. Okay, just this year. January 1 to now, we're not even full through the full year. $24.4 billion to Ukraine, $11.3 billion to Israel, $1.9 billion to Ethiopia, $1.6 billion to Jordan, $1.4 billion to Egypt, $1.1 billion to Afghanistan, and $1.1 billion to Somalia. And then we gave $1 billion to Yemen. Yeah, the people, the Houthis, who are popping things off and stirring it up in the Red Sea. And of course, we got $987 million to Congo, $896 million to Syria, and then $9,000 per illegal immigrant in the United States. And then we come and have the gall to basically say, sorry, we don't have enough money to help people out. Look at this. It gets better. Okay, here we go. FEMA is out of money for the U.S. hurricane victims after its $640 million to migrant funding has gone out. Yeah, absolutely unacceptable. And yet they will do continuing resolution. We ought to have a vote on whether or not they continue to even function as a government. We should be able to say, you're done, get out. There should be impeachments happening. There should be a lot of things happening here. But here, this is just adding salt to the wounds here. Kamala, or as we like to call her, Bob Marley, criticized for a $750 aid package to Hurricane Helen victims as Trump raises millions. But yeah, so the U.S. government, they want to come out through FEMA and they want to give you $750. Hey, look, they're so gracious because, when Maui happened, Biden came out and said, we're going to give $700 per household to the victims of Maui, right, and the fires. And then you turn around, you got this. Oh, they upped it by $50. $750. These are people that have lost their houses. We still have 1,000 people missing. And this just goes to show you she's not fit to lead, folks. If she gets into office, it's going to just be more of this until she gets, ousted. It's just going to be, it's going to be what we've seen the last 4 years. More and more of this, people put into positions that don't have the ability to actually make decisions or have any know-how to make the right decision. Buttigieg, for example, supply chain, right? We watch the port issue happening right now. And, you hear nothing out of him other than, we support the strike, whatever it may be. Yeah, ridiculous. Okay, speaking of that, let's just bounce in because look at this. It doesn't just end here. You've got a storm system right now that's projected to go across Florida into that same region this weekend. So more rain coming. Doesn't end there. Now, the good news is the Germans that were down here in Barbados that basically were around when all of this, Helen hurricane stuff started to fire off, they've decided to go back to Germany now, even though they do still have a box down here for another week. But I don't see any indication they're there. It looks like they bailed. Now, of course, you can see these storm systems that are kind of bugging out and going to go back across and go into Europe. Have fun with that one, folks. All right, let's move on over here. All right, let's get into the news cycle and then what's going on at these base locations. Just notice you got this one coming in from Houston Bush. This is an Atlas Air, small one, 767-300. More than likely that bounced over. Look at this. I think it may have gone to Guantanamo Bay. It may have been a troop rotation. It went to Houston, and then we didn't track it after that. But I think maybe we're about due for that rotation out of Guantanamo Bay. But then notice here that it's scheduled to go to Alexandria. That's a 72-hour holding facility. That's migrants. Straight up, they're taking immigrants, illegals. Those are the only ones, a plane load, that'll be exported, all right, kicked out of the country. All right, now we over to, this is Dover, and just pay attention. You got a SAM flight. That's a special air mission. That'd be one of your blue and whites or something like that coming in. And then, of course, you've got Coletta 747 rolling in, a lot of 172s. And then X-filling, you got a C-117 going across the drink, another one, C-17, sorry, I say 117, C-17 going across the drink. This one headed to Phoenix. Don't see that too often. That's a rarity. And then this headed obviously to RZE Poland. That's probably bringing more troops over. Then we get into Transportation Command. Very active this morning. You can see in and out of Amman, Jordan. All right. And then out of Kuwait. So Middle East, not going to Israel. And then you can see them in and out of Europe, England, and then one bouncing across the drink back to the U.S. And, of course, the Brits, their version of that, you can see one just getting, actually it looks like it's just landing. It's at descending at 11,200 feet, 304 miles an hour. But you do have one, looks to be also landing in Cyprus, and the other one going into Crete, all of them on the descent. That's your Brits. And then this is going to be the British in terms of their air base. You can just see, again, it's just very active. Very active. A lot of flying going on in and out of England. All right. Ramstein, this, you got one camber coming in. Looks like it's coming in from around or near Cairo, Egypt. filling. This one is suspect right here. 747 headed to Joint Base McGuire, Fort Dix, or Lakehurst. That, by the way, if you're familiar with that, that is the location. It used to be where they had a welcome center for the Afghanis coming in. Supposedly it's been shut down, but I'm sure this is probably, if I had to guess, more Muslims. They just basically opened the doors back up and are, repurposing it. All right, and then there's your camber flight leaving. Okay, the Germans have cycled through. I had them on the board quite heavily, and they are all landed at this moment. So here's RZE. This is going to be Poland. It's a forward operating base. Just notice you got a British, looks to be a troop bird coming in. Let me go down a little further and see. I did see another camber flight coming in from Dover. And it is actually kind of light over there. We may just be kind of catching it between the heavy flights. So, okay, check this out. Now, I'm going to just bounce over here. I want you to look at this screen for a minute. You may remember Uranium One. Okay, this is the whole pay-to-play scandal that took place. Most of these that you see on this are U.S. politicians. The only one that I think has been put into jail was one guy out of Ukraine, and he probably crossed his handlers, so they threw him to the wolves. Everybody else, when it comes to the Clinton Foundation and all the money that was baked out through the State Department, given to countries who in turn turned around and gave money to the Clinton Foundation or the Global Clinton Initiative, none of that has been returned and nobody is in jail, right? But you can see everybody that was involved in this, the Clintons, the Bidens, the Obamas, pretty much everybody we see today, the deep state in essence, okay? So remember how that went down and what happened, okay? And it was just, everybody was getting rich on your dollars. Now look at this. Now this is an article that was actually written 2022. And there were quite a few that were written in 2022. But you didn't really hear much of the mainstream talking about it. But look at this. It says that Ukraine war and the clean energy transition. Now, this becomes very critical because check this out. It says lithium is a critical element to clean energy transition. The crisis in Ukraine is limiting access to a large global source of lithium, but could also be a catalyst to spur innovative solutions at home. And we don't care about all that. Just the whole thing is a large global source. Well, how much is that? What does that really mean? So this is really what it means. They're saying researchers believe Ukraine is a treasure trove of lithium, holding about 500,000 tons, which is probably one of the largest reserves in the world, of the non-renewable mineral that makes renewable energy possible. Lithium has become virtually irreplaceable in electric vehicle batteries because of its efficient energy storage per unit of weight. So, think about that for a minute. We see the United States taking all of this interest, put in over $200 billion into Ukraine. In fact, did you know we're even paying for Ukrainian retirement and their Social Security stuff? Probably didn't know that. Well, maybe you did. But here we are funding them, and we come back to this after I tell you we just put in how much since the war began, $200 billion, and you wonder why. Now, I have told you, too, that the United States set up shop inside Ukraine via our intelligence agency in 1948. Been there ever since. But this lithium piece, I believe, is pretty much what people are going for. I think you hear all of the climate change, the Great Reset folks talking about all of the things that have to take place with electric vehicles, and that is all lithium, folks. It doesn't stop there, though. You're going to be looking for copper stuff as well, and supposedly there's an abundance of that over there too. So, not to the degree of the lithium, but you are talking about a lot of money. So when you see them telling you that we don't have enough money because they haven't managed their money properly, they've been spending like nobody's business, and you turn around and you take our own government and we just fail at every front, every opportunity. It's because the current administration you have in there right now they don't know what they're doing. So, okay. So we talked a little bit about RZE, and then let's talk about Germany. And you'll notice you got some C-17s coming in as well, a couple camber flights, right? Let's see. We did go to RZE, and there really wasn't much there. The Germans were grounded. So let me get you over here as I bounce around my tabs. This becomes important. We talk about Ukraine, but notice what you see here in the picture. These are Russian drone strikes, lighting it up all the way across Ukraine. The blues, that's missile defense popping off. So just notice, you'll see all of this cycle as you kind of get down into the weeds of this. You'll notice it's all red. There is very little Ukrainian fighting going on against Russia. What they'll do is they'll pop off a bunch of different, their own versions of drones, trying to take out Russian stuff. And of course, this right here, you can see just above my head here, NATO is just meeting with Deuce Bigalow. And yes, he is absolutely, take a look at him, take the facial hair off, and yes, you've got Deuce Bigalow right there. So yeah, I think we got a new name for him now. Nonetheless, I will tell you the NATO flight that I just cycled through here is landing right now as we speak in Washington, D.C. More people coming with their hands out. All right, let's go over here to Israel piece, because this is where it gets really interesting. Because take a look, let me bounce and pull this up just a little so you can really kind of get your eyes on what's happening up here to the north. These are Israeli strikes. This is the Lebanese border. So Israel continues to push into Lebanon. It is, I will tell you, it's a balagan, as David Tahl would say. This is just a hot mess. And Israel is not letting up on any level, which they have a right to defend themselves. But you can see this is Beirut. They are hitting suburbs in Beirut. You get even further north. These are Israeli strikes way deep, right up against the Syrian border here to the north. This is going to make a lot of people angry because they're getting so deep into Lebanon. But I will tell you, it's not going to end there. I would be shocked if we get through the next 10 days without Israel taking out some major targets inside of Iran. I think it's coming, and when it does, we will cover it in depth. But this right here, you can see they have not let up. The red that you see here, this is Hezbollah popping things off across the border into Israel. And this is Israel popping things off, taking out targets in Lebanon. And then these, again, absolutely crazy. This aspect here, these are evacuation warnings. So these are the bomb drops. So it is not slowing down at all. So continue to watch it, but it's going to be very interesting to see just how hard they hit Iran when it comes down to it. So, and of course, the United States is telling them not to do anything at all to Iran, but of course, they're not listening to us. So, which is good. They shouldn't. All right. Well, look, that's going to do it for our Sitrep today. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. For those in the live chat, stand by. We'll get that started here in just a minute with our Q&A. So everybody else, we'll see you here. Until next time, keep that powder dry. Stay frosty. God bless. Monkey out. handcrafted soaps. Get yours in the Monkey Werx shop today.